Good morning, everybody, and a happy Thursday morning to you. All right, we have 3 videos today. In this video, we have multiple topics, everything from the children's titles up to the issues with ARO and another update on the Columbia trip and a couple of blind items. So let's just jump in because there's so much to cover. Let's go. We're starting off with another update. I just spoke to you yesterday about the cost of the Colombian tour. Remember, it went from 1.5 million pounds down to like 44,000 pounds. Well, a blind item has come out basically saying that the vice president cooked the books. They're saying actually it was $244,245, which includes spending on security and internal transport throughout the trip. Yeah, I have no problem believing that. All right, next story. Remember, the Kardashians are their friends. Kris Jenner, the mama of the Kardashians, is probably going to be helping her with her ARO. Remember? Well, according to, some sources, Harry and Meghan have actually been rejected by Kris Jenner after the polls showed that their popularity is in the toilet. Supposedly, Miss Jenner has a lot on her plate, but people can't help but wonder if, she dropped Harry and Meghan because, quite frankly, people don't like them. Now, of course, Harry and Meghan have to put a spin on it, and they did. They said that Meghan was humiliated because she had reservations about working with the Kardashians. That Harry and Meghan felt they were lowering their standards by associating with the Kardashians. So getting rejected by them was a big blow. But Meghan eventually came around to the idea and she was excited about it. So now she's really humiliated. Have you guys ever noticed that when people reject them, they spin it so somehow it's never their fault? All right, let's move on. Next up, another blind item came out, and I'm thinking that that's Kevin Costner, the permanent A-list sometimes director, and what's being suggested is that Harry spoke to him on the phone and asked for his divorce attorney. Guys, I'll believe all that when I see it. Like, this whole will they, won't they stuff is so old. All right, let's move on. All right, ARO, you guys, here we go. They've had another setback with the U.S. trademark application. I'm just like, that she's the one filling out this paperwork that it's going so badly. The trade office has issued a non-final officer action, and they have given Meghan 3 months to respond to this. And if she doesn't do it, it's going to result in her application being abandoned. She also needs to cough up another $700 if she wants to proceed because she didn't pay the correct fee initially. Now, the trademark office put out a 48-page, they call it an action, explaining what all went wrong. Here are some of the reasons why it was thrown backwards. This is their wording, and then I'll explain it. They are a requirement to amend the identification of goods, a multiple class application requirement, and a requirement to disclaim Riviera's descriptive wording. So anybody who applies for a U.S. trademark, you can be refused because your mark is geographically descriptive and prevents others from being able to describe their products. In other words, her application, her wording was very vague. She didn't cough up enough of the fee, and she was trying to claim ownership of a geographical location because California is known as the American Riviera. She wanted to trademark items, but her description was too vague. Like, she put cocktail napkins, pans, cooking utensils, spoons, forks, tongues. You can't do that. You have to be very specific in what you put in. And she first put in this trademark application on February 2nd, and she outlined plans to sell kitchenware, drinkware, and jams under American Riviera Orchard. But that was back in February. This is September, and she launched her Instagram account, way back in March, April, and she still has not one product to sell. Absolutely nothing. As you can see from the paperwork, this was issued on August 31st, and they can pay for a fee to do a 3-month extension so that, they don't have to worry about it being abandoned. Now, I found it interesting that at the bottom of the paperwork that they sent, they showed the following pictures. These are pictures of other companies using the name American Riviera and all of the information. I guess they're giving her examples of what's the problem. Now, I've said it before, and I'm going to repeat myself. She launched the company prematurely. She didn't have the trademark in place. She still doesn't have a CEO. All she's done is hand this jam out to some friends of hers and have them put something up on Instagram. She doesn't have any products to sell. And the only reason she launched early was because she was trying to overshadow Prince William at the Diana Awards. She launched literally as he was walking up to the podium. She couldn't just let him, do whatever. No, she tried to overshadow him with this. It's very obvious that this was not ready to be launched, but of course we all know how she operates. That didn't stop her. The truth is, Meghan is telling her own story with the failure of ARO. Nobody wants to work for her. She doesn't know what she's doing. She apparently has not hired the correct people to get this thing launched. And this all should have been taken care of before the name of this company was even brought out into the public. But, typical Meghan. So, you reap what you sow. All right, let's move on to our next story. All right. We already know about this. It's rearing its ugly head again, and I'll explain why in a minute. We know that Harry and Meghan said during the Oprah show that the titles of Prince and Princess were her children's birthright, and nobody was going to take it away, and they would make that decision when they got older. Remember, this is what she said on Oprah.
So when Harry's dad becomes king, automatically Archie and our next baby would become prince or princess or whatever. It's not their right to take it away, their birthright, to then make a choice about.
Okay.
Member of color in this family not being titled in the same way that other grandchildren would be.
So the second those children were allowed to have the Prince and Princess title, Meghan grabbed them. Remember, one of her complaints during the Oprah show was that her children were not titled the way the other grandchildren were titled, and it wasn't fair, even though you just heard her mention the convention that allows her children to become Prince and Princess once Charles ascended to the throne. Word and rumor out is that they're having the staff in the house call the children Prince and Princess, even though the United States does not recognize these titles. And word out also that Harry wants these titles used for his children in school. I can totally see those kids getting bullied in school if they actually attend a public school. I don't think they will. We do know that they've been calling out about Catherine and William's elitism, but yet they're planning, supposedly, to send their children to some of the most private schools in Montecito, which can cost up to $80,000 a year. So at this point, everybody is saying that that is nothing but proof that they need their connections to make their money. Listen, we all know that. If Meghan had married Harry, nobody would know who she is. And Harry's whole thing is trashing the family at every turn. The rumor at the time was that when Harry returned for the Queen's funeral, he had like a 30-second discussion with Charles, but it was never agreed on that the children were going to get the title of Prince and Princess, that he was literally sideswiped by Harry when it was announced that the children were going to be using those titles. Now, several people are saying that King Charles, even if it was well-intentioned, absolutely made the wrong decision. The problem is they are trying, and they have been trying, to set up an alternative royal family in the United States, but it hasn't been working. And this could actually damage the monarchy. The monarchy should come first. The truth is, and I've said this before, Charles should have cut them off right away. He should not have allowed those children to be made prince and princess. They don't work for the royal family. They will never work for the royal family. The truth is, William is going to be the one that's going to step up and say, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to give you what you wanted. You wanted out? You're out. You no longer have the prince title. Your children no longer have the prince and princess title. You are nobody now but Harry Windsor and Meghan Markle Windsor, and that's the way it is. Now, Apparently this was done because Harry and the king were hoping for some sort of a reconciliation, but apparently William is not going to allow it. And as far as not telling the children because they want to shield them, that's a bunch of bunk. Harry even came out in an article not long ago. He wants the children to have the exact same experience in school that, he had, which means he wants them elevated to a higher status. All right, you guys, you know what to do. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and the bell for all notifications, and then go down into the description box where you'll find the link to video number 2. Let's go.